that's because you fools on other networks, which we gonna become fools next year. We be working on that network. But Oklahoma City and the Cavs been balling for 6 months.
Looks like the situation behind the scenes at ESPN has taken a messy turn. Many were puzzled as Charles Barkley suddenly started receiving major offers while Shannon Sharpe appeared to be losing ground. At first glance, it seemed like a random shift, Barkley on the rise, Shannon fading. But the reality is far more complicated. Leaked audio and insider reports have revealed a much darker twist involving jealousy, underhanded moves, and a power play that completely backfired. According to sources, Shannon Sharpe may have quietly tried to block Barkley from securing his ESPN contract, even as his own career was facing serious challenges due to an ongoing lawsuit and off-camera missteps. But what's really surprising people is how ESPN is handling Barkley, known for his unfiltered opinions and even criticizing ESPN at times. Barkley isn't facing any penalties. Instead, he's being handed more opportunities, no fines, no controversy, just open doors. Now, the big question is why ESPN is firmly backing Barkley while seemingly edging Shannon out. And even more pressing, did Shannon actually attempt to get Barkley fired? Is this purely jealousy, or is there a much deeper conflict happening inside ESPN? Let's break it down. Reports suggest Shannon Sharpe has been increasingly frustrated as Charles Barkley gains more visibility on ESPN. It's understandable. Barkley's unfiltered style, big personality, and widespread fan base made him an easy choice for ESPN, especially after TNT lost its NBA broadcasting rights.
He said the Lakers, first of all, the Lakers have had a great 2 weeks. He said the Lakers saved the NBA season. That's because them fools on the other network, which we're going to be working for next year, that's all they talk about.
At the same time, Shannon has been under significant pressure. A lawsuit filed by a young woman just barely into adulthood brought intense scrutiny to his personal image. With Barkley rumored to be taking on a major role, the stress on Shannon only grew. This is where the situation took a turn. Insiders claim Shannon attempted to interfere behind closed doors, trying to prevent Barkley from joining the network, a clear act of sabotage.
I've been going back and forth with TNT for the last 2 months, whether I'm gonna work 2 years or 3 years. But if I really wanted to, I could stay for 7 years, which there's no chance of that happening. Zero.
The most shocking claim? Reports say Shannon even tried to bring up some of Barkley's past controversies to ESPN executives, hoping it would discourage them from moving forward with him. But his efforts didn't slow things down. In fact, it completely backfired.
I'm not taking no job, and I know how, number one, the most important thing is how much I'm going to work. That's been my biggest gripe, to be honest with you. Like, well, how much am I going to work? I mean, the notion that I'm gonna work more as I get older, that's just not gonna happen.
But here's where things really turn. While Shannon was busy trying to dig up Charles' past mistakes, the reality is Barkley's so-called controversies aren't old news, they're recent, public, and widely known. And the surprising part, ESPN doesn't seem to care at all. Let's go back to 2022. That year, Charles Barkley signed a massive 10-year, $210 million contract with TNT. It was a major deal. But even after securing that huge payout, Barkley made it clear he wasn't planning to stay in the game much longer. He openly stated that he had only a few years left before stepping away, prioritizing his peace of mind over the constant grind of network television. And if anyone thought Barkley was going to play it safe, they were mistaken. He made a pointed comment about ESPN's work culture, saying, "I ain't going to be working like no dog like Stephen A. Smith." This wasn't just casual banter, it was a direct criticism. Barkley made it obvious he wouldn't accept ESPN's non-stop work demands. You'd think a remark like that would make ESPN reconsider, but instead, they welcomed him with open arms, offered him a role in their NBA coverage, and even gave him creative control.
I've been telling y'all that for 2 months. Hey, ESPN, I love you guys. Don't try to make Anthony Edwards the face of the NBA. The face of the NBA is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Joker, and Giannis. You can't give it to people. They have to take it.
Still, Barkley isn't fully on board with ESPN's direction. He has serious concerns that they might disrupt the unique vibe of inside the NBA. Too many commercials, too much structure, and not enough honest, unscripted conversation. And he's not alone. Fans, media insiders, and even critics have expressed the same worries. There's a general fear that ESPN could ruin what makes the show special. This isn't a new concern. ESPN has long been seen as overly polished, heavily managed, and always steering the narrative to fit their image. That's why many are anxious, believing this major change may not play out the way ESPN expects. TNT allowed Barkley to be himself. ESPN operates by a very different set of rules.
Playbook.
Ain't nobody, they can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired. So they can't fire me. First of all, they fire me, they got to pay me for 7 years, and I'm going to quit way before then. But if they want to fire me, I would love for them to do that.
At ESPN, you're expected to fit the mold, follow the script, and keep everything clean and controlled. That approach doesn't align with Barkley's personality. He even publicly criticized a TNT spin-off pilot, calling it the stupidest I've ever seen, and said it on the record. Most people would have faced serious consequences for a comment like that, but not Barkley. He remained untouchable, keeping his position despite directly calling out ESPN for promoting Anthony Edwards as the NBA's next big star before Edwards had proven himself in high-pressure situations. No suspensions, no warnings, no corporate backlash. Everything continued as normal. Now consider this. Shannon was reportedly on track to sign a $100 million deal. Then came the lawsuit and the misstep on IG Live.
Let me tell y'all something.
Tell me something.
And first of all, I want all the smoke. I don't whistle when I walk by the graveyard or anything like that.
I don't whistle when I walk by the graveyard.
Right.
I like that.
Hey,
one.
man.
I'm stealing that one.
The Lakers are doing great.
And then rumors of internal drama at ESPN started circulating. From there, things quickly began to unravel for Shannon. Meanwhile, Barkley, despite openly criticizing ESPN's operating style, was being promoted, fully protected, and treated like royalty. Naturally, Shannon is reportedly frustrated. The double standard is hard to ignore. But things took an even more questionable turn. After Barkley discovered that Shannon had allegedly tried to interfere with his ESPN deal, he went live and stated that he's too expensive to fire, and he wasn't joking. He made that comment on air, and it sent shockwaves through the network. It wasn't just a display of confidence. It was a calculated message. Barkley understands his value, and more importantly, he knows that ESPN heavily depends on him right now. That's when Shannon's insecurity appears to have grown. Instead of focusing on repairing his public image, he's allegedly shifted his attention to undermining Barkley, a move that's beginning to look increasingly desperate.
And like I said, even though the name changes, the engine is still the same. And to that new network we coming to, we're not coming to F around. And since it's the last show, I'm gonna say it. We're not coming to f around. We kicking ass. We taking names and we taking over.
It's not a smart strategy. Now, word is that Barkley caught wind of Shannon's behind-the-scenes tactics and wasn't pleased. Sources say he told people close to him that he has no interest in playing Shannon's games. Barkley may not be involved in corporate maneuvering, but when he's upset, he makes it known. As Charles secures long-term contracts and maintains his on-air presence without issue, Shannon's career seems to be turning into a clear example of self-inflicted damage. Now, let's address the biggest issue, the $50 million lawsuit. A woman named Gabriella Zinga has accused Shannon of serious misconduct and threats, claiming she was barely an adult when the alleged incidents began. While all the facts have yet to be confirmed, the lawsuit has had a significant impact. And it became even more complicated when, just weeks before the case went public, Shannon accidentally stayed live on Instagram. The footage, to say the least, portrayed highly questionable behavior and added to public concerns. The backlash online has been harsh. One commenter said Shannon Sharpe ruined his own career and has no one to blame but himself. Another added, sounds like Shannon's mad because they gave Barkley his raise. Seems like jealousy to me. The internet isn't holding back, and the criticism has been relentless. Now let's get into what people are really saying. Jealousy, plain and simple. Charles Barkley is a legend whether you agree with him or not. He's consistent, funny, and unfiltered. And here's the real game changer. Barkley isn't joining ESPN alone. He's bringing the entire inside the NBA team with him. Shaq, Kenny, Ernie, the whole crew is making the move. Even TNT's production staff is relocating. Same set, same energy, same unfiltered vibe, just under ESPN's branding. While Shannon, was struggling to secure his position, Barkley was quietly planning a complete takeover. Consider this, ESPN didn't just hire one person. They brought in an entire show. This isn't a simple promotion, it's essentially a full replacement. Insiders are already saying that Barkley's new setup could become the centerpiece of ESPN's next phase of NBA coverage, potentially sidelining Shannon and others even further. And here's the critical part, there are reports that Barkley might even have influence over the new talent lineup. That's significant power, the kind Shannon once had, but clearly doesn't anymore. Adding to the speculation is a growing theory. What if ESPN actually welcomes this tension? Controversy attracts viewers, and drama keeps audiences engaged. With both Shannon and Barkley constantly trending, ESPN may simply be sitting back and benefiting from the increased attention. Meanwhile, Shannon's reputation is taking hits from multiple directions. Making things worse, he's reportedly becoming bitter, upset that he didn't receive a raise comparable to Barkley's. Insiders suggest ESPN has quietly started sidelining him since the lawsuit went public, and online commentary hasn't been kind. Some people are harshly saying things like, "Barely legal, young girls, he deserves everything he's getting." Don't hate. You blew your own bag. The criticism is relentless, and many are starting to see a pattern emerge. Speaking of patterns, let's shift focus to someone else Shannon is reportedly blaming for his decline, Shaquille O'Neal. Yes, here's the unexpected twist, both Shaq and Barkley are now moving into Shannon's territory at ESPN. TNT may have lost NBA broadcasting rights, but Shaq and Chuck are smoothly transitioning into ESPN's top spots, exactly where Shannon thought he would be. If you've been following, you already know there's been a simmering tension between Shannon and Shaq for years. Subtle jabs, snide remarks during interviews, on-air comments, and social media shots, it's been quietly building over time. But now, it's starting to look like Shaq may have been several steps ahead all along. A recently leaked audio clip surfaced just weeks ago, and it's making waves. In the recording, a voice that strongly resembles Shaq's is heard speaking to a well-known media fixer, someone known for uncovering damaging info on public figures. The voice says, "Find me something solid on Shannon. I know it's out there. I want something that sticks." That's a serious allegation. Shortly after, Shannon's entire media brand began to unravel piece by piece. Was it just bad timing, or was it orchestrated? That's up for debate. But with Shannon already facing public scrutiny for questionable off-camera moments, the situation turned into the perfect storm behind the scenes. Publicly, ESPN executives are keeping things diplomatic, but internally, sources suggest they're slowly phasing Shannon out. Meanwhile, Barkley's new NBA studio show has already been approved, and there's talk he'll help shape the next generation of on-air talent, possibly leaving Shannon out of the picture. Realistically, why would ESPN hold on to someone surrounded by negative press when they have Barkley, a proven ratings machine? ESPN thrives on strong personalities. That's why they signed Pat McAfee. It's why Stephen A. Smith is always front and center. And now, Barkley is stepping into that spotlight. Insiders say ESPN's internal pitch decks are already pushing Barkley as the new face of NBA coverage, the relatable voice who cuts through the usual corporate spin while still bringing in major ad revenue. Meanwhile, instead of repairing his image, Shannon reportedly keeps trying to undercut Barkley. But let's be honest, it's looking less like a calculated move and more like a desperate one. So what's next? Charles Barkley is secure in his role. He's already said he plans to retire in a few years, but until then, he's riding the ESPN wave with no stress, no missteps, and full creative freedom. And by all accounts, he's not losing sleep over any of this. As for Shannon, unless he takes real steps to address the lawsuit and regain control of his narrative, this could mark the beginning of a major decline. No one can deny he had a strong run, but right now, the situation is starting to look like a classic case of a fall from grace. Still, anything can happen next. Let's be honest, this might not be the end of the story. Shannon's still a recognized name with a loyal fan base. If he can clean up the situation and shift the narrative, he might pull off a comeback similar to Joe Budden's. However, let's not ignore the reality. His position at ESPN may already be at risk. So here's the real question. Was Shannon genuinely trying to block Barkley's rise, or is all this controversy simply a distraction from his own career struggles? Is ESPN making the right call by putting so much trust in Barkley? And can Shannon recover, or has he permanently damaged his career? Share your thoughts in the comments. This situation continues to develop, and there's a lot more to discuss. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and stay tuned for the next deep dive, because in this industry, one wrong move can change everything.